I threw away the invitation after it sat on my desk for 4 weeks. My high school graduation party had been announced on cream cardstock with gold lettering custom made, probably $180. Mom handed them to me with the biggest smile I'd seen from her in years. We're inviting everyone, sweetheart. Aunt Patricia, Uncle Doug, the Hendersons from church, your dad's coworkers. This is such a big accomplishment. I should have known better. In our family, good things never lasted long enough to actually enjoy them. It started on a Tuesday, 10 days before graduation. I came home from my grocery store shift and found Mom at the kitchen table wearing that look, the one that says, "I'm about to deliver terrible news, but I need you to believe it's reasonable." "Claire. Honey. We need to talk about the party." My stomach dropped. "Your sister has been feeling really left out. She thinks everyone's making too big a deal out of your graduation. Your father and I agree." "Mom. Amber is 16. She's in 10th grade. What does my graduation have to do with her? She's been crying every night because she feels invisible. We think it would be better to postpone. A quiet family dinner instead. Just the 5 of us. You want to cancel my graduation party because Amber's feelings are hurt that people are congratulating me. We're not canceling. We're postponing." "For when?" She hesitated just long enough for me to understand the answer. "After Amber graduates. 2 years from now." Dad walked in. Tie loosened. Mom filled him in. He rubbed his forehead and said, "We already decided, Claire. Amber needs to feel valued too. By taking something away from me? You're 19. You're an adult. Sometimes we make sacrifices for family." Sacrifices for family. The irony was suffocating. I had spent my entire childhood invisible, while Amber golden and charming could do no wrong. When she had meltdowns at 13, that was expressing herself. When I did, I needed to work on my emotional regulation. Amber made honor roll once and Dad took her to Disneyland. I'd been on honor roll every semester since 5th grade. The most I ever got was, "That's nice, honey." While he scrolled his phone. She wanted dance classes. Done. A laptop. Done. A $350 guitar, 2 lessons, and abandoned. I bought my own beat-up Honda Civic at 17 and paid every bill myself. I applied to 12 colleges. Got into 8. Earned a partial scholarship through my own GPA and test scores. I had done everything right. And now they wanted to cancel the one celebration meant for me, because my sister couldn't handle 4 hours of not being the center of attention. "Fine," I said. "Cancel the party." Mom smiled. "Thank you, sweetheart. I knew you'd understand." I walked upstairs and locked my door. Then I opened my banking app. I'd been saving since I was 17, every paycheck, every birthday dollar, every cent I could scrape together. I told my parents it was for college. The real reason was simpler. I was saving for my freedom. The balance read $9,154. Not a fortune, but mine. Money they couldn't touch. I opened my laptop and started looking at apartments near Stanford. My phone buzzed. "Aunt Patricia. So excited for your party. So proud of you, honey." I texted. "The party was canceled. Family stuff. But I'd love to see you." She called immediately. I told her everything. She was quiet. Then, "Pack a bag. Meet me at Morrison Street Coffee in 90 minutes. You're 19, they cannot stop you from walking out that door." She was right. I packed 1 duffel bag. Clothes, laptop, and every document I'd need. Birth certificate, social security card, acceptance letters, scholarship paperwork. When I came downstairs, Mom was at the stove. Garlic and tomatoes, her famous sauce. Dad was on the couch. Amber's door was closed. "Claire." Mom appeared with a wooden spoon. "Where are you going?" "I'm leaving. I'll get the rest of my things later." Dad stood up. "You are not going anywhere. I'm 19. I can go wherever I want." "Claire Reynolds, put that bag down right now." That sharp edge in her voice used to make me flinch. "It didn't work anymore. You made your decision when you canceled my party. I'm making mine." Amber appeared at the top of the stairs. Dad said, "Your sister is throwing a tantrum. I'm done being the backup child. I'm done being disposable. If you walk out that door," Dad said, "don't bother coming back." I looked at him, face red, jaw tight. The posture of a man convinced he was the victim. "Okay," I said, and left. My hands shook so hard I had to pull over twice before reaching the coffee shop. Aunt Patricia was already there, corner table, 2 coffees, quiet fury on her face. "You did the right thing," she said. I burst into tears. That summer, she told me things I'd never known. My grandmother had played favorites too. Mom was the golden child. Aunt Patricia the invisible one. The cycle had simply continued. Amber became Mom. I became Aunt Patricia. "Do you think she'll ever understand what she did?" I asked. Some people are too wrapped up in their own story to see the damage they've caused. My mother died still believing she'd been fair to both of us. Yours probably will too. How did you stop being angry? Who says I stopped? I just built a life so full that my anger became a footnote instead of the headline. In August, I moved to California. Stanford was everything I'd imagined. My roommate Sophie was sharp, funny, and never made me feel like too much. For the first time in my life, I felt like I belonged exactly where I was. In October, Mom sent a care package. Homemade cookies, a Stanford sweatshirt, and a framed family photo from 6 years ago. All 5 of us at the beach. I was 14. Still hoping things would get better. You can grieve the family you wished you had, Sophie said, while still protecting yourself from the one you actually have. I ate the cookies, tucked the photo in a drawer. 7 months in, I applied for a research position in the psychology department almost exclusively reserved for upperclassmen. My advisor called it a long shot. I got it. The professor said my essay, which drew on personal experience with early family dynamics, genuinely impressed her. Living through something, it turns out, is its own form of expertise. I posted about it on social media. 67 comments poured in. My English teacher wrote, "I always believed you were destined for great things, Claire. Watching you thrive is one of the best things I've seen in years. Not one like from my family." Amber had organized a group chat to coordinate ignoring the post. 3 days later, Mom called, voice too warm, too cheerful. "I saw your research post. Very impressive. Would you come home for spring break? Everyone would love to hear about your work." Everyone. Now that I had something worth showcasing, I was invited back to be displayed. "I'll think about it," I said. And hung up. Spring break. I went to Mexico with Sophie and 2 friends instead. White sand, live music, dancing until our feet gave out. On the 3rd night, we talked about the future. "I want to open my own practice someday," I said. "Help kids who grew up the way I did." Sophie raised her glass. "To Dr. Claire Reynolds, destroyer of toxic family systems." The real explosion came in April. I was invited to present at an undergraduate symposium. Stanford's official account shared the announcement. Our hometown newspaper ran a piece, "Local graduate making waves at Stanford." Suddenly, everyone back home was proud of me. Then Amber called. "Don't you think you're just so special?" she said, voice shaking. "I'm just the other daughter." I even went to Aunt Patricia's house to explain. "What did Aunt Patricia say?" A pause. "She hung up on me. Because she knows you're lying. You destroyed this family. I left a family that spent 19 years telling me I didn't matter. There's a difference." Aunt Patricia told me the rest. Amber had shown up with Mom. Mom stood there agreeing with everything, saying I'd always been difficult, that they should have been harder on me. Dad stayed in the car the entire time. Amber then posted a long piece on social media painting me as a daughter who'd abandoned her family without cause, omitting every detail that would explain my choices. It gained traction. Until people who actually knew us started speaking up. Former classmates, teachers, family friends who'd watched for years and said nothing until now. My English teacher's comment ended it. "I taught both Reynolds' daughters. Claire earned every opportunity she has received. I'm not surprised she's thriving. I'm surprised she held on as long as she did." Amber's post disappeared within 72 hours. I blocked her number and went back to studying. I finished my first year with a 3.98 gigapascals and a paid lab position waiting. Sophie and I signed a lease on a small off-campus apartment. Ours. Before Aunt Patricia flew home after a July visit, we stopped to collect the last of my childhood things from storage. Ethan met us there, 13 now, taller than I expected, voice already cracking. He hugged me so hard I could barely breathe. We had lunch, just the 3 of us. He talked non-stop. He barely mentioned our parents, and somehow that told me everything. "Will you ever come back?" he asked, pushing fries around his plate. "Not to live. But you can always come stay with me." He smiled. "Somebody in this family has to turn out okay." We were loading the last boxes when Mom's SUV pulled into the lot. She walked toward me carefully, like she was afraid I'd run. She looked older, more tired. "Can we please talk?" "Just a few minutes." Aunt Patricia squeezed my shoulder. "You don't have to." 10 minutes, I told my mom. We stepped away. She twisted her wedding ring, the nervous habit she'd had my whole life. "I'm proud of you," she said. "You're doing remarkable things." I had waited my entire childhood to hear those words. They felt hollow. "Did you come to apologize?" She flinched. "We miss you. It's not the same without you." "That's not an apology. We made mistakes with the party." "You didn't make a mistake. You made a decision. One of many. Over 19 years. That told me exactly where I stood. I did the best I could. Your best wasn't good enough. And I'm not going to keep pretending it was." She wiped her eyes. "Are you going to cut us off forever?" "I'm going to live my life. If you want to be part of it, You know what it would take. I walked back to the car. Ethan was crying softly. Aunt Patricia had her arm around him. Let's go, I said. We drove away. I didn't look back. People always ask if I regret leaving. If it was worth it. Here's what I know. You can miss the idea of a family while accepting the reality of the one you have. You can grieve parents who are still alive. You can love someone and still recognize that staying is costing you things you can't afford. Your sense of self. Your ambition. Your belief that you deserve good things. I didn't leave because I stopped loving them. I left because I finally started loving myself. Today, in a lab at Stanford, doing research that will one day help children who grew up feeling invisible taught that their needs mattered less, that they had to earn the right to exist in their own families. I am more certain than ever. I made the right choice. Some will say I was selfish. That family is family, no matter what. To those people, I have one question. What kind of love requires you to disappear in order to keep the peace? That's not love. That's a performance. And I was done performing. I am Claire Reynolds. 20 years old. Researcher at Stanford. GPA 3.98. A future in developmental psychology. A life that is entirely, completely, beautifully my own. The graduation party they canceled? I don't need it anymore. If this story resonated with you, drop a comment below. You are not alone, and your story matters.